and reduced cost. We didn't finish the job in the first term, but we should finish it now. On the drones, Trump said at that press conference, the government knows what is happening. Our military knows where they took off from. If it's in a garage, they can go right into that garage. They know where it came from and where it went. And for some reason, they don't want to comment. And I think they'd be better off saying what it is. Our military knows and our president knows. And for some reason, they want to keep people in suspense. 4 days ago, Trump wrote on Truth Social that we should, if they're not ours, shoot them down. The FBI has released a message telling Americans to don't actually shoot them down, with your gun. I'm Mike Slater. Bill O'Reilly has your message of the day. Next.
Did you know every day is a perfect day for peace of mind? With American Home Shield Warranty, you are covered for unexpected breakdowns like leaky faucets or faulty water heaters. Choose a plan that fits your budget and rest easy knowing repairs and replacements are taken care of. Simply contact American Home Shield when an issue arises, and their trusted pros will handle it according to your coverage. Don't let worries about appliances and home systems weigh you down. Celebrate the reassurance of protection. Don't worry, be warranty. For 20% off plans, visit ahs.com/bill. For more details, see ahs.com/contracts for coverage details, including limit amounts, fees, limitations, and exclusions.
Febreze. As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust Febreze car vent clips, featuring 3 distinct intensity settings, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing. Which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up! Oscar!
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide cleans better than the leading competitive free detergent, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues.
Plus, Tide Free and Gentle has no dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on her skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
Time now for the O'Reilly Update message of the day. On this Tuesday, today's message has nothing to do with politics, and I thank God for that. It has to do with what Americans might consider over the next few days. Christmas hurtling toward us, and I have 2 things on my wish list: peace on earth and don't be a jerk. The first one is noble but unattainable. The second, much easier. It's all about second chances and swings both ways. If someone has wronged you, try for détente. Maybe just a simple card wishing them a nice Christmas. If they have any remorse, they will reply. If not, they won't. And you get a clear definition. No one should waste time on a spiteful person. If you yourself have hosed someone this year, it's a card and a small gift. Short message inside the card. The word sorry should be prominent. Only elaborate if it's necessary. Again, if the person replies, a wrong by you could be mitigated, unless it's invading Ukraine or something. Decent people believe in redemption. Miscreants do not. So do your best not to be one of those miscreants. And be forgiving, insightful, and kind. But most of all, have yourself a merry little Christmas. I'm Bill O'Reilly. I approve the message by writing it. You can reach me, Bill at BillO'Reilly.com, Bill at BillO'Reilly.com, name and town if you wish to opine. Go to the mail. Rhonda Davidson, Lacey, Washington. Why is President Biden allowed to pardon or commute crimes of anyone? Well, the Constitution gives him that. That's why he's allowed. Powers of the presidency, executive branch. Sandra Dunleavy, Scottsdale, Arizona. I know you said Trump can't end birthright citizenship. Possible for him to end chain migration. No. Congress has to pass a law, new immigration law. Congress could do it. Congress couldn't do the birthright. That's an amendment. But chain migration is not an amendment. That's a law. So Congress could change that. But I don't know if Congress would do that or not. Pat Geneva, Mountainside, New Jersey. There must be legislation that if any individual has committed a crime and is deported, they come back, there has to be a penalty. Well, yeah, that's Kate's law. And Hannity and I are banding together to make it Kate Lakin's law. Okay? So Laken Riley was murdered by a Venezuelan undocumented thug. And we hope we get it. We're going to try our hardest, but we've been doing that for years. Tim Dodge, Spring Hill, Florida. As soon as Trump is in office, Congress needs to give all elected presidents the ability to rescind pardons. All right, but that's not going to happen. I mean, they're not messing with the Constitution. It's not going to do it. In a moment, something you might not know. Many believe President Trump's victory is a big win for the American economy because Bidenomics really punished many Americans. I rely on physical precious metals like gold and silver to safeguard my retirement savings. And the only precious metals company I trust is American Hartford Gold. A tax-advantaged gold IRA can protect your savings from inflation, recession, and stock market downturns. You can roll over your 401k or IRA tax and penalty free. With thousands of five-star ratings, an A+ from the Better Business Bureau, American Hartford Gold has delivered billions in precious metals. Act now. Call or text American Hartford Gold today. Tell them Bill O'Reilly sent you for up to $15,000 of free silver on qualifying offers. Here's the number, 877-444-GOLD, or you can text GOLD Gold to 65532. That's 877-444-GOLD or text GOLD to 655.
Hi, I'm Rodney Wallner.
And I'm Jen Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Jen, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission plan?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What's the best time to sell your home?
Right now, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Gene Evans, former state representative, former executive director of the Missouri Republican Party.
The National Party and the State Party have had school choice in their platform, parent empowerment. Donald Trump's agenda, and he's mentioned it several times lately, he talked about it a lot when he was president, is school choice. A state that 100% backs Trump is not going to take a major piece of agenda out of their platform. They're just not.
Weekday mornings, 5:30 to 9 on News Talk STL.
Now, the O'Reilly Update brings you something you might not know. 38 years ago today, Las Vegas singer Wayne Newton, remember him? Won a massive lawsuit against NBC News. His complaint, the outlet unfairly tied him to organized crime. Here is the story. Wayne Newton filed the defamation suit against NBC in 1981 after the network aired a special claiming the entertainer used his connections with the mob to purchase a Vegas hotel. For the next 5 years, Wayne received death threats, hate mail, and also experienced a decline in ticket sales. He was even forced to testify before a grand jury over his alleged relationship with the mafia. Central to the case was whether the media has any limit on freedom of the press versus the rights of an individual, regardless of celebrity status. In December 1986, a federal jury in Las Vegas ruled NBC violated Wayne Newton's rights, giving the singer more than $19 million, the biggest defamation suit in history. But the story does not end there. 4 years later, the judgment was overturned by a federal appeals court. The panel stated NBC journalists did not broadcast the special with, quote, knowledgeable malice. So the total award for Mr. Newton was reduced from $19 million to $5 million. The reverse plunged Wayne Newton into debts of financial turmoil. In 1992, the man known as Mr. Las Vegas filed Chapter 11 to reorganize more than $20 million of debt. He was sued by the IRS in 2005 for failing to pay back taxes. In 2009, Newton was also sued by the Oakland County International Airport for $60,000 in unpaid parking tickets. And here's something else you might not know. Despite his legal problems, the 82-year-old is still performing on the Vegas Strip. The price to see Wayne Newton today at the Flamingo Casino, $86. He may need the money. Back after this. Are you feeling the impact of recent timeshare industry changes? Now more than ever, the costs of timeshare ownership far outweigh the benefits. My friends at Lone Star Transfer are the only company I trust to help you get out. Our listeners' positive feedback demonstrates why I've supported the company for years. For more than a decade, they have helped over 20,000 owners get out of the timeshare. Their exclusive options can help you get out faster and easier, more than any other option in the country. They are the only company that will give you a written guarantee and release you from your timeshare in a specific time frame. With an A+ rating at the Better Business Bureau, thousands of 5-star reviews, customer service is their top priority. For free consultation and a guaranteed solution, please call 855-551-7066. That's 855-551-7066, or go to LoneStarTransfer.com. Thank you for listening to the O'Reilly Update. I am Bill O'Reilly. No spin, just facts, and always looking out.
News, analysis, opinion.
You know, they're literally taking the Constitution and putting it in a paper shredder.
News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Jason Walker. As millions of people along the East Coast grow concerned over the drone mystery, Biden administration continues to be faced with sharp criticism for not dealing with the matter more aggressively.
It's almost comical, some of the stories we hear of, for instance, base commanders sending pilots out onto the flight line with flashlights to try to illuminate them, as opposed to, again, having clear lines of authority so commanders on the ground can protect airspace over our military bases.
Arkansas GOP Senator Tom Cotton.
The administration cannot tell us where these aircraft are originating, what they're doing, whether they pose a threat, or who in the government is responsible for taking them down.
Senator Cotton making his comments on the Salem Radio Network. Also at townhall.com, the leader of a UN body set up to investigate serious crimes in Syria says he's willing to deploy a team there. BBC correspondent Mike Thompson.
Syria's former president, Bashar al-Assad, has long been accused of widespread extrajudicial killings, including mass executions within the notorious prison system. This month, a US-based Syrian advocacy organization claimed it has evidence of a mass grave north of Damascus containing the bodies of at least 100,000 people. Robert Petit, who heads the IIIM, said his team is ready to travel to Syria to investigate as soon as clearance is given, though he said much evidence is known to have already been destroyed and many suspects have fled.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israeli forces will stay in a buffer zone on the Syrian border, quote, until another arrangement is found that will completely ensure Israel's security. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Right now, with an important alert, home title fraud is one of the fastest growing white-collar crimes in the country. Criminals can make millions on your house without you even knowing it. Michael, you were one of those criminals?
Yeah, that's right. I was responsible for about $16 million in equity theft and title fraud.
Wow.
And to be honest, it was easy to do. It's just paperwork. So by the time you find out what's happening, the equity in your home is already gone.
So how do you keep your property and equity safe? For more, here's Action News reporter Ron Stevens.
Well, Monica, an in-depth investigation found there's actually just one company that prevents this type of crime from happening: Equity Protect. Equity Protect scans, monitors, alerts, and most importantly, protects you from any attempts to tamper with or steal your home equity and ownership 24 hours a day. Other companies merely monitor. Equity Protect stops the crime from happening. Find out if you're already a victim or take a free risk assessment today at equityprotect.com. That's equityprotect.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. A few showers later on this evening and overnight, but out by daybreak, a low of 41 is actually pretty mild. The cloud cover helps keep the temperature from dropping too much. But as the cold front comes through in the morning, it doesn't allow the temperature to warm much either. 46 for the afternoon high, so a cooler day, very near normal, partly cloudy skies. Thursday, a chilly start at 28, but in the afternoon, a touch above normal with a high of 48 and partly to mostly sunny skies. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Looking for a cruise vacation? Cruise.com is offering its exclusive sale of the year to all listeners to this station. Every major cruise line, including Royal Caribbean, Carnival, Princess, MSC, and more, are on sale now. Call 1-800-507-9264 and book one of these deals while supplies last. Cruises start from as low as $39 per person per day. There isn't a better vacation value to places like Alaska, Europe, the Caribbean, South America, and more. Call one of the largest cruise specialists in the world at 1-800-507-9264. We'll find you a vacation that includes drinks, Wi-Fi, excursions, and more. Call 1-800-507-9264. That's 1-800-507-9264. Space is limited. Don't miss your opportunity to book the best deal of the year. That's 1-800-507-9264. Sponsored by Cruise.com.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
What citizen wouldn't want to make America great again?
Live and local.
You lose, you Dixon Notch. Yeah. You lost America. I saw it etched on a coin somewhere.
This is News Talk STL. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
Lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here?
As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
This morning, a heartbroken community searching for answers after a teacher and student were killed in a shooting at Abundant Life Christian School.
The shooting happened inside a classroom in a study hall of students from mixed grades.
Overnight, police identifying the shooter as 15-year-old Natalie Rupnow, who went by Samantha.
She was a student at the school, and evidence suggests she died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Investigators searching her home Monday. Authorities say a second grader at the school called 911 for help.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show with producer Joey V here at 1019 94.1 News Talk STL. It is Tuesday. It is December 17th, 2024. 1 week until the high holy day of Christmas, 4:06 in the p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm Tim Jones. Chris Arps back in the studio today, along with producer Joey V. Chris, that was the story that we led the show with yesterday. And the more we learn about this horrifically tragic shooting, the more bizarre. All of these shootings seem to have strange, weird angles to them. This one is one of the weirdest.
And I think also one thing that all of these shootings have in common, especially when it comes to young people, is there seems to be kids that were loners, kids that were kind of social outcasts. I'm sure that will probably be the case in this situation. And also, this sad incident also shows that it doesn't matter where you are in a movie theater, at the mall, at a Christian school, at a secular school, that these type of things, when a disturbed person and a gun, which is like a bad situation, doesn't mix, they come together. We have these tragic situations. Of course, the left will, of course, blame the gun and say there's too much gun violence. I heard famed lawyer Alan Dershowitz talk about we have more guns in this country than people. We're not more ill than other nations. Why do we have this crime? It's because of guns. I don't believe that at all. I think it is the people and just the lack of morals in our country. That's something, unfortunately, we can't talk about anymore.
We have a culture issue.
Exactly.
We have a violence issue. We have a parental issue. We have a mental health issue, mental health crisis, as you mentioned. And I think if you were to ask, especially people on the left, hey, tell me who you think the shooter was, most of them would respond, oh, it's got to be a white male with a long gun. That's what they probably would have said. With an assault rifle, they would have said white male with assault rifle. 15-year-old girl with a handgun is not probably going to be found on most people's bingo cards. I immediately thought of my youngest daughter. Abby is 15 years old. I know most of her friends. And to think, so at that age, young girls, like that's the last thing I think that would happen to a girl who's 15 years old. This young lady must have had some serious issues going on in her life. And Chris, I've read parts of the manifesto Susie and I talked about yesterday. It's very dark. It's very disturbing. Did no one see this coming? I think we're going to learn that folks might have.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a coincidence that she chose her own school, which is a Christian school, to do this when dark demonic forces invade a person. Where else could you make a statement on behalf of dark forces is to shoot up a Christian school when you are purportedly a Christian as well. I think the horrible effects of seeing this happen. We've unfortunately seen these type of incidents too many times, and we kind of become numb to it. But I think with something like this, specifically with it being at a church, there are underlying things that contributed to this besides just mental illness.
Big shout out to the police chief from Madison, Wisconsin, who's been handling all the press conferences on this. He is extremely impressive. Madison Police Chief Sean Barnes. I think he has been an incredibly stabilizing force in all this. I don't think he's been overly dramatic. I don't think he's tried to lay blame in the wrong places. I've been really impressed so far with his press conferences. So Madison is doing a good job with their local leadership on the ground. My understanding is they responded extremely quickly to the scene and, may have helped stop any further bloodshed. Usually in these situations, we hear of dozens and dozens of people hurt and killed. It's horrible to lose any lives. But in this situation, my understanding is, I don't know if anybody else hopefully has not passed away. I know 2 people were in critical condition. 6 people total were in the hospital. 3 people, including the shooter, ended up succumbing to their injuries.
I have to say, I didn't hear too much about this case because, of course, Beck and I were traveling to Jefferson City. We attended the GOP party at the governor's mansion. Tim, I was parking cars, taking drink orders and everything.
That's how you got in.
That's how I got in. Those of you that listen to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show already know what was announced this afternoon in the post-disgrace that former Lieutenant Governor Peter Kinder will be running for Missouri GOP chair, and that the governor-elect Mike Kehoe has his full endorsement. So it'll be interesting too as well. I think, Tim, Bill Eigel, I don't know if he said that he was. I know the paper strongly alluded that he was eyeing a run at this as well. And that race happens in February. So it'll be very interesting to see that. Peter Kinder making a comeback into politics.
I proudly served with Peter Kinder. There was a time where he was the only a Republican elected statewide. Some people out in our audience are going, really? Are you kidding me? Yeah, it wasn't that long ago that Peter Kinder was the only Republican elected to statewide office.
2012 or something.
During the time when we all were in Jefferson City together, it was Peter Kinder as lieutenant governor. I was in the majority leader's position and then speaker in the House. And my good friend Tom Dempsey was the majority leader and the Senate president. And we were the ones trying to keep the fires burning in the wilderness. And look where we are now. All the statewides are Republican, 6 of the 8 congressionals, and both U.S. Senate seats. My, how times have changed.
And one of the speakers, I forgot who it was, alluded to that. I think it was Lieutenant Governor Kinder, or not Kinder, but Kehoe, the incoming governor, talked about when he owned his auto dealership. Catherine Hanaway came to him and asked him for some money and told him that there was an opportunity to change the house. And here are the maps. And he believed in her and gave her some money. And she was correct. And that was 2002. My good friend Sherman Parker came in that first class after term limits. Hard to believe that was 22, 23 years ago now. And Republicans have had a majority ever since, Tim. It's hard to believe, 25 years. Republicans have had a majority.
It's really amazing. Entering the third, fully entered the third decade of Republican rule. And approaching, I don't know, the 8th or 10th year of supermajority rule. That's for sure, indeed. You and I both. Hey, speaking of the legislature, Chris, we're going to talk a little Missouri legislature this afternoon at 4:24 with our good friend David Stokes, who joins us every Tuesday afternoon. He's the director of municipal policy at the Show Me Institute. We're going to discuss a multitude of bills that have been filed that look to gradually phase out and end the regressive income tax, as I call it, in the state of Missouri. St. Louis City's personnel chief has sued Mayor Tashara Jones, and Donald Trump considering privatizing the local U.S. Postal Services, according to the Washington Post. We're going to ask David Stokes about all of those issues and likely many more. Chris and I are always able to get a lot of topics out with David Stokes.
Have much more to talk to David Stokes about, especially with some of these things that are happening on the St. Louis County Council as well, and this school district situation. It just seems to get worse and worse. They were using the St. Louis Public Schools credit card like it was going out of style, like it was their own personal thing. It's amazing. You know, when you hear type of those things, I know you're getting to the things, Tim, but just for a second, it just amazes me when people engage in scandal like that and all that spending all this. It's like, do you ever think that one day somebody's going to audit all of this stuff, or somebody one day is going to be like, this is a lot of money being spent here? It's just, to do that type of stuff on a company or a government credit card like that and not think one day that that's going to be audited just astounds me.
Especially a public entity.
Exactly.
For those of you who
what are you thinking?
Don't understand how public entities operate, I don't blame you if you don't, because it's tedious business. But when I was on the city council in Eureka, all of the discussions about the finances and the budgets, those are all done out in the open. They're presented to the aldermen or the council people every year. They have budget sessions. They have aldermanic sessions. They have working group sessions. And it's a multitude of people. And it's done generally in the council chambers. And so, yeah, Chris, to your point, it's easy if anybody wants to look into it to say, where's that line item going? Yeah. And where's that line? And what happened to that budget line? And why did we spend $20,000 on XYZ?
Yeah. Why did we spend $1 million and all this stuff? And over past years, we spent $50,000.
Yeah. on your personal checkbook, you and Becky are the only ones that look at that. Suzanne and I are generally, unless you're dealing with a bank situation or something, generally there's maybe two sets of eyeballs, right? With a public budget, there's dozens of sets of eyeballs. And when you get to the state level, there's thousands of sets of eyeballs. Now, the bigger you get, sometimes things kind of get lost in the forest for the trees. But if you have somebody who understands what they're doing, an example, Darren Chappell last year, he's a state rep from Southwest Missouri. He was a freshman rep, but Chris, he served as a municipal city administrator his entire career. Guy's been doing budgets for 30 years, and he's a conservative. He gets into the House, and after a little digging, he goes to the budget people and he says, where's this? I forget how many billions, millions. Where's these tens of millions of dollars that the Missouri Department of Education has gotten every year? And it doesn't seem like it was spent. You know what he found, Chris?
No.
The DESE department, the Department of Education of Missouri, was squirreling that money away and taking it off of their bottom line and acting like it had been spent.
Yeah.
He caught them red-handed, and it was a big chunk of change. So,
and Tim,
it can be discovered.
And it was the same thing that just happened with this lady that during the pandemic that was supposed to be feeding all of these school children.
Right.
The Elmo's Lounge scandal. That was the headquarters for this supposedly nonprofit. Millions of dollars being spent. They were supposed to be feeding kids at Hazelwood Central. They found out that all they were spending were buying like crackers and some milk, but was getting reimbursed for like full meals. It's like, how can you not think that eventually somebody's going to catch up with that?
Somebody's going to say something, right, Chris? Somebody's going to notice, hey, aren't these kids supposed to be eating peanut butter jelly sandwiches and carrots and milk, and all they're getting is a set of graham crackers? I don't think that's what
water, and a bottle of water.
I don't think that's what this program was for. And then somebody goes, hey, where's the ledger on that? Oh, wait a minute. Same thing with Sam Page. A couple years ago, I know it was COVID cash and Biden bucks. We had this, you and I reported massive surplus in the county.
Oh, yeah.
They spent it all and then some, and some of it we don't know where it's gone. And now they're running a deficit. Amazing.
I mean, Sam Page, for the longest, people were begging him, spend the money, spend the money. Why are you sitting on it? Why are you sitting on it? Now we have deficit. It's gone. No one knows where that money is going. It's just a shame that you see St. Louis County government just basically morph into St. Louis City style government. When I remember when Gene McNary and Roos and all of them were running St. Louis County, and it went back and forth between Democrat and Republican, but the government was clean and was efficient.
Even Buzz Westfall, a Democrat,
even Buzz Westfall.
He was known as a business-minded Democrat. He ran a pretty tight ship for a Democrat, and we didn't have the problems that we do now. Lots to speak with. All of that and more that we just discussed. We'll run it past David Stokes and get his analysis and insight beginning at 4:24. 4:45, we've got Chris's cornerback today.
Yeah, we're going to talk about a little Senate and House news, Tim. December 20th, Friday, is the deadline for the end of the budget or end of the fiscal year. And what was announced today as an initial CR, people are raising hell, including our friend Congressman Burleson, who said this was a dumpster fire. So we're going to talk a little bit about Congress, House, and Senate, and will the government shut down right before a new presidency?
We will find that out sooner than later. We'll talk about it in Chris's Corner at 4:45. The speaker's stump speech today, I was running around like crazy this afternoon, and I know I had a topic, and I got her. There was a fella who tweeted something really interesting this morning on X, and I can pull it up here in just a second really quickly because I retweeted it so I wouldn't lose it. And basically it was Sean Davis from the Federalist. Sean Davis from the Federalist. He's the CEO, president of the Federalist. And he said, he started off this tweet, and that's why I read the whole thing. Ready to have your minds blown? Let me give you the one sentence answer to every conspiracy theory and potential government cover-up over the last 70 years. What line was that answers all those questions? I'll tell you at 5:07. And he gave examples of all of them. It's it makes you really think. I didn't agree with everything he said, but I was like, that kind of works for most of those things. I'll tell you all that at 5:07. Hey, at 5:24, the doctor is in.
Tobler.
The good doctor, Randy Tobler, who's, of course, the host of the Randy Tobler Show every Saturday morning here at News Talk STL. You should listen to him from 6 to 9 a.m. as you get up and prepare your first cup of joe. We'll talk to the good doctor about what's on his mind. What is the prescription for ails us as we try to escape from the Biden administration? January 20th can't come soon enough, and more at 5:24. At 5:45, we will make sure you know everything that's coming up on Larry Connors USA. And Chris probably has an ever-mounting stack of stuff we have to get through to make sure we bring you everything that we may have missed. Jam-packed show today here on, it's a Titanic Tuesday indeed. Joey's got his knockoff, kind of looks like the St. Louis Blues logo sweatshirt on today.
St. Louis.
Speaking of the Blues, I saw that our friend Stewie, the bagel loan guy, he was at the Blues game on Sunday.
He was?
With our friends, the Walner home selling team.
No way.
And with that much good vibes in one place, they brought home a winner, beat the pants off the New York Rangers.
What a coincidence. A mortgage broker and a real estate agent.
It was the...
That's a good synergy.
It was the bagel loan party.
Bagel loan party.
Very nice indeed. I think the Blues, Joey, are back over 500 for a team that was supposed to be in its rebuilding year. Not too bad.
15, 14, and 3.
There you go. One game over 500, and they're in contention for a wild card spot this year. Not bad for a rebuilding year. Maybe that's a good sign. Maybe it's a good sign for this year. Hopefully, a really better sign for next year. My goodness, 4:22 in the PM. We better get to a break. David Stokes is coming up next. As you heard, we have a ton of things to discuss with David. We'll get to them right after this quick break. Go nowhere. There's some very important words you need to hear next that Chris has to tell to you. So keep it right here on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
You're listening to Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
I don't have to feel it.
Why don't you go to Amazon and buy a spine online and take a stand?
Together we will grow into the mystic.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. A few showers later on this evening and overnight, but out by daybreak, a low of 41 is actually pretty mild. The cloud cover helps keep the temperature from dropping too much. But as the cold front comes through in the morning, it doesn't allow the temperature to warm much either. 46 for the afternoon high, so a cooler day, very near normal, partly cloudy skies. Thursday, a chilly start at 28, but in the afternoon, a touch above normal with a high of 48 and partly to mostly sunny skies. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Subscribe and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows. Mike Ferguson in the Morning, The Vic Porcelli Show, Colombo and Company, Jones and Arps. Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble. Subscribe and watch News Talk STL.
Chris Arps here to tell you about my friends over at Royal Banks of Missouri. They are a full-service, locally owned and operated independent community bank. And that's important to me, especially working here at News Talk STL. We love live and local. And I love that the headquarters for my bank is located right in University City, where I currently live. They are live and local, and they have one of the highest financial ratings in St. Louis for stability and strength. Royal Banks of Missouri, they are a community bank, and they offer 17 convenient banking locations throughout St. Louis, St. Charles, Granite City, Jerseyville, Hannibal, and in Rawls County up in Northeast Missouri. Royal Banks also have 200 ATMs across the Midwest. They give you free access to ATM transactions and withdrawals. You know, those fees can really add up. Royal Banks also offers convenient interactive teller machines, or ITMs, that will connect you with the banker virtually and in real time. As a customer of Royal Banks, you'll find that their personal service is second to none. Check out and learn more about the Royal Banks of Missouri by visiting them on the web at royalbanksofmo.com. royalbanksofmo.com. Royal Banks of Missouri, the community bank for your community.
Larry Connors here with a perfect Christmas gift for the conservative in your life. Let's go to southern Italy on a tour of the most beautiful coastline in the world, the Amalfi Coast. Join me for 11 magical days with professionals from Conservative Tours. $54.88. That includes airfare from St. Louis. Call toll-free 888-733-9494 or go to conservativetours.com. Let's go to Italy this spring.
Getting new flooring can be exciting, or it can be a hassle. To make sure you have a great experience, use Michael's Flooring, like I did. Hi, it's Susie Moore, and Michael's Flooring has become my go-to for quality, variety, and an all-around great experience. They've been locally owned and operated for more than 30 years. Carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, natural stone, luxury vinyl, it doesn't matter. Michael's Flooring is ready to help. 3 locations to pick from: St. Peter's, Darting Prairie, and Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloor.com. That's igotfloor.com.
This is Tony Colombo, and my favorite Capriati sandwich is the cheesesteak made with American Wagyu beef from Snake River Farms, and you have to include a side of their amazing fries. I love Capriati's, and you will too.
Open 9 to 9 daily on Manchester and McKnight in Rock Hill.
This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. You're listening to Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
A pre-filed bill for the next Missouri legislative session looks to gradually lower the state income tax and eventually get rid of it. Part of the goal with this bill, making Missouri competitive with other states to drive more residents and businesses into Missouri.
427 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show, and it's Tuesday, Tim, and you know who we talked to on Tuesday.
We sure do.
David Stokes over at the Show Me Institute in high school. You talk about spike. I had a very short spike. It was
I
like
knew there's a spike somewhere in that stuff.
It wasn't very punky. It was more Leave It to Beaver-ish, maybe.
And as he does every Tuesday, David Stokes, Director of Municipal Policy at the Show Me Institute. David, welcome. I heard you had to go back to the office and get a better phone line. Is it how's everything working? Is it okay now?
Well, I'll let you be the judge of that. I think the phone line is. I think the phone line sounds great.
So your beautiful baritone is coming through very well in the airways there, David Stokes. David, you heard that clip coming in there about the potential for Missourians to be relieved of their state income tax burden. This will not be, if it's enacted, it would not be right away. Can you explain to the good folks the mechanism that would lead to the eventual elimination of Missouri state income tax?
Well, there'll probably be multiple bills this session about it, but the prime one, as I understand it, takes the state income tax and sets it at a flat rate of 4% shortly, as in the next year or two. And that would be great to lower it a little bit more and set it perfectly flat for everybody. I think that would be a perfect win. And then sets a number of benchmarks for revenue increases over time. And in the long run, would continue to gradually lower it as those revenue benchmarks would hit to eventually over time, hopefully get down to zero and join the other, I believe, 9 states around the country that have no state income tax. And it would be great for Missouri to eventually join that. But yes, nobody's saying it's going to happen instantaneously or with the current system, with Missouri being very heavily dependent on income taxes, more so than almost all other states. Nobody thinks it's going to happen quickly, but just the same way with the city of St. Louis and the earnings tax, I mean, the state, it would be better for economic growth and prosperity in Missouri if we didn't have an income tax. And if we could start off with a system of lowering it to a flat 4% and then lowering it further over time as part of a plan, I think that would be terrific. And my colleague Elias Sapellis here at Show Me Institute has written a lot about this and talks a lot about this. And we got a lot of good stuff up at Show Me Institute's website on it.
David, I helped lead the charge for that first income tax cut back in 2013, 2014. So everybody can blame this on me. David, I'm very familiar with all the arguments against this. I've been listening to him for the last 10 years. And what people said at that time, when our budget was a mere $26 billion all in, was that if we cut the Missouri income tax, that the state's budget would collapse. All public funding of all public things would implode. It would be the end of public education as we know it. So on and so forth. The parade of horribles. That $26 billion budget, David, after a series of income tax cuts from then until now, has resulted in a budget of over $52 billion. So, David, I would argue we haven't cut income taxes enough, and we haven't kept up with neighboring states. As we cut the income tax, we've seen growth in state revenues, and that's what we need to keep doing here in the heartland, don't we?
Absolutely, and it's such a great example of holding people accountable for statements in the past and predictions in the past. We talk about this on the show with Metrolink projections multiple times, but you brought up a great one because I was at Show Me Institute, and state income taxes are never been my focal point, but I was here at Show Me Institute when those first tax cuts were made, led by yourself and Senator Schmidt, played a major role in that.
Yes, he did.
And now United States Senator Schmidt, then State Senator Schmidt, played a major role in it. And absolutely, those predictions of dramatic reductions in revenue and other fear-mongering were all made. None of them came even remotely true. our budget has, thanks largely to federal funding in recent years, has ballooned to far bigger than it probably should be. And I look forward to that just sort of ratcheting downward a little bit on its own. But yes, we know that if you can get a hold of spending, and that's what the Show Me Institute with our Taxpayer Bill of Rights and it sort of updates to the Hancock Amendment that our chief economist, Aaron Hedlund, and Elias, who I mentioned earlier, have been working on. The secret to holding the line here is holding the line on increases in spending over time and not increasing spending more than inflation plus population growth. And if you can hold it to that level, then you will hit those revenue targets over time, and you will then be able to lower income taxes even further. But it would be great in the short term, to go down further to that 4% level, make it flat for everybody. I think some people listening may know, we have a very low maximum tax level, so pretty much everybody's at that highest level. Once you hit, I think it's 9 or 10,000. But below that, we have actually a large number of tax brackets. So let's simplify that to 4%. And just start holding that line on spending. And, I can almost hear Art Laffer talking about how in the long run that will really be wonderful for prosperity in the state of Missouri, and probably the short run too. But definitely it would be great for competitiveness among other states.
You think Art Laffer may be laughing? Come on, work with me here. Work with me, Dave.
Well, I don't think Art Laffer ever laughs when it comes to income tax cuts. He's too passionate about it.
All right, David. Alderwoman Alicia Sonyer has a bill before the city alderman on what to do with part of the Rams money. Part of the plan would put $277 million into a series of endowment funds, that each with a specific purpose. One would be $70 million dedicated to boosting affordable housing. Another $40 million would go for the city's water system. Your overall assessment, Dave, I know you don't know the intricate details, but just the little details that I have given you, would you support using the Rams money for that purpose, for these purposes?
Well, the overall use of it, I think, is poor. The overall planning is poor. The best part is the water investment, and the second best part is sort of the other infrastructure investments. I would spend a lot of it on improvements to the water system and to build that system back up to shape. The water
is $40 million enough?
Bad shape. No, probably not.
Okay.
I don't think it is. I think it needs to be more than that. And you don't have to blame people per se on this, because the system's just old. Like, it was built 150 or so years ago. It's just old, and things break over time. Now, I do blame elected officials over the past several decades for not investing enough in it, but that's done. So I'd invest even more in that water system. And then my dream would be then to privatize the water system. That would really raise a lot of money for the people of St. Louis and lead to a better water system in the long run. But that's another topic. So I think they did. The other stuff of subsidizing childcare, which is targeted towards a lot of city employees, more affordable housing. The more affordable housing part drives me crazy. The city of St. Louis has affordable housing. It's one of the most affordable housing markets in the United States. They're not pulling this out of anywhere. You can Google all sorts of studies that come out of this, be they simple ones from realtors or more detailed ones by my friend Wendell Cox and others. We have incredibly affordable housing in the St. Louis region, and particularly in the city. We don't need more affordable housing subsidies. It's a bad use of the funds. The child care aspect, I don't know why tax dollars need to go to some new fund for child care. We have affordable child care in the state. And if you want to give employees raises to help them pay for that child care, then do that. So I don't like a lot of it. Again, the water part and some of the street infrastructure part is good. But the only defense I have for it is that I have no confidence in the city, to put towards some sort of long-term endowment that only spends the money. Like, I have no confidence for that to work out either. Other people have sort of pushed that line of thinking, put it all into endowment and use, the $20 million a year as some sort of special fund. That's not going to work either. That would be poorly managed. So They've raised police officer salaries in recent years. I'd be perfectly fine with them raising it more, but I don't think the lack of applicants to the police department in the city is due to the lack of salary. I think the salary is competitive. It's until you get a change of leadership, people just don't want to be cops in the city of St. Louis, because I don't think they feel that when hard decisions have to be made, that they're going to be backed up by the elected officials. And there are too many police, I think, are right in that. So it's a difficult situation. The Post-Dispatch had a editorial the other day just excoriating this plan. Sort of took a different tack from me a little bit, but largely against it. And I don't think this is going to be a good use of money. I think in the end, all this ARPA funds, all this stimulus funds, all this RAMS money is just going to be the one thing that city government is good at, which is spending money. In a couple of years from now, they'll have every problem they still do. Maybe the water system would be a little bit better, and they'll be looking around trying to raise taxes.
David, staying in the always exciting and frequently disastrous city of St. Louis, there is a story out today about the city of St. Louis's personnel chief bringing a lawsuit against Mayor Tashara Jones. What can you tell us about this latest kerfluffle?
Cat fight.
This is a very interesting one, and it has to do with and I'm going to largely defend the mayor.
Look down.
Yeah,
Write it down, Joey.
Mark the tape.
Mark the tape.
It's just a very weird system in the city's the head of the personnel department, where it is so protected from politics. I think it goes too far in those protections from politics. It was a system that was created 80 or so years ago, designed after the age of Pendergast and some other political machines to sort of insulate the system from patronage. And that's a good thing. And it's probably had those benefits for a long time. But it really has gone too far when the people in the personnel department become their own institution and start taking care of city employees generally and their allies within the city. And mostly I'm referring to the firemen's union and other city employees union, that this entity is so resistant to change, it then becomes resistant to change, even when some change is needed. If the people of St. Louis want to elect change candidates like Mayor Jones, and I've got plenty of differences with Mayor Jones, there shouldn't be some system in there that really stops her from hiring her own people for important positions. Like that's not good. If the people want change, they should be able to get change, and then voters a few years later can vote to keep those people in office or not. And that's the choice they'll have here in April. So I think the city system has gone too far. And while I do believe in civil service, and I don't think every job should be patronage, and I don't think to the victor go the spoils, I do think that when voters demand change, they should be allowed to get change. And to have this system where you've got an ex-holder of this position reapplying for the job, which I don't think he probably wants. And I imagine this gets pretty complicated, what I'm surmising here. But if you read the Post-Dispatch quote on it, he seems to be just doing that, knowing the rules of civil service mean that Mayor Jones, it makes it harder to replace if he's applied for this position. It's that unusual based on this Post-Dispatch story. And now you've got the current person who Mayor Jones appointed and doesn't seem to have done very well in this position. They're trying to remove her, and she's filing a lawsuit. And it's just a crazy situation where I think the mayor should be able to have a head of personnel that sort of wants to work with them. So it's not good any way you look at it, including in ways I think that have gone too far in taking the politics out of government. You should have protections. You should have civil service, but you shouldn't go so far in sort of ossifying local government that it makes it hard to get change when that's what voters want.
Speaking with David Stokes, Director of Municipal Policy at the Show Me Institute. Dave, several weeks ago, you let us know exactly how you feel about horses.
I like St. Charles County, and I like horses.
And so we want to get your follow-up on St. Charles County passing their $371 million budget, but without money for police horses. My first question is, do you feel like horses?
I'm glad they didn't include the horses in it. And yes, I do like horses. I don't believe that was me making the horse sound.
That was not you. That was not you. Joey embellished
that. I want to be clear on that. I believe that was added in editing after the fact. I want people to know that.
I bet you at college parties you did a mean horse name back in the day. I could see you doing that.
Right. On the shores of Long Island Sound in Fairfield, Connecticut, I was just doing horse sounds constantly at the clam bank. It was an Elvis impression and a horse sound. It was great. So right. I'm glad they didn't pass it. That budget just keeps growing and growing in St. Charles County, and that is largely a factor of population growth. I mean, it's just such a success story over the past 40 years as St. Charles has really expanded, and some of that is due to failures clearly in the city of St. Louis and St. Louis County as people choose those, pun intended, greener pastures.
St.
Charles
one.
County
Nice.
and Jefferson County and Franklin County and over in Illinois as well. But yes, I don't think they need a horse patrol in St. Charles County. I don't think they need a horse patrol in most places. It does work in Forest Park for the city of St. Louis. That's sort of a unique situation there where it does work, but it's not something that needs to be imitated around the area. You could almost sort of follow the police helicopter system where the city of St. Louis County, and St. Charles County and all those police departments share a police helicopter system. Perhaps you could make that horse patrol in the city of St. Louis lendable to other areas in unique situations where they might be needed. So maybe we'll move down that path of greater sharing in that thing instead of everybody creating their own.
Tim?
Good.
All right, David, we have you on record. You do support horses. You do like horses, and we appreciate that, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, David Stokes, Director of Municipal Policy at the Show Me Institute, showmeinstitute.org, and on X, David C. Stokes. Do you have a last? You sound like you have a last parting shot.
Oh, Chris, we should wish him a Merry Christmas because
that's
we will
correct.
be off next week because it'll be Christmas Eve.
That's very correct. So Merry Christmas, Dave, and hope you and your family enjoy the Virgin Islands or the Bahamas or wherever you're going.
Yes.
I'll be in Knoxville, and I'm going to call in anyway. I don't know if you guys are even
wow,
there.
what dedication!
I'm going to call in anyway.
Who's going to answer the phone, Joey? Who's going to answer the phone?
Dedicated to this station. Hey, final thing, make sure you listeners, you get a chance to check out our legislative blueprint with the next legislative session starting soon. That's online at showmeinstitute.org, and a lot of good ideas for change in Missouri.
Thank you so much, David Stokes. We'll speak with you next week, as you said.
Thanks,
looking forward
guys.
to it.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. David C. Stokes.
I don't know who he's going to talk to because we're not going to be here.
Exactly. Maybe he's going to call in like, wow, Joey won't answer the phone for some reason. I don't understand it. But Joey, he still likes horses.
He still likes horses.
All right, Chris's Corner. We're going to talk a little congressional news. Government is slated to run out of money on Friday. Will that happen? Members of the Missouri delegation are not happy. We'll talk about that on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show, 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show.
I like St. Charles County, and I like horses.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. A few showers later on this evening and overnight, but out by daybreak, a low of 41 is actually pretty mild. The cloud cover helps keep the temperature from dropping too much. But as the cold front comes through in the morning, it doesn't allow the temperature to warm much either. 46 for the afternoon high, so a cooler day, very near normal, partly cloudy skies. Thursday, a chilly start at 28, but in the afternoon, a touch above normal with a high of 48 and partly to mostly sunny skies. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This is 1019 and 94.1.
I have to tell you, if this is how they're going to behave, I'm rethinking my position.
News Talk STL.
Jones Air and Water is a company I thought of this morning. I actually think of them most days because I'm really happy with all of the products and services that Everett Jones has installed at our Jones home and here at our studio over the last many years that we've had such a great working relationship with them. What is Jones Air and Water? Well, simply put, this is an independently owned, family-owned local business right here in the St. Louis region that specializes in a ton of different varied, and necessary air and water treatment products and services that will make living better in your home, your business, or your commercial facility. How do we know that? Because we live with their products every day. Here at the station, we have had the Topper drinking system for many years. It's fantastic. It comes with these big filters that get hidden away underneath the sink, any sink in your home or business. There's a little spigot on the top, and it delivers an endless supply of pure, clean, reverse osmosis filtered water. It's really great. I've noticed we don't fill up our trash cans every day with plastic bottles. We have an endless supply. It's great. And, we're saving the earth, right? That's what we do, right? We're conscious conservatives. How about the whole home system that you can have? The Hydrotech HTO system. That improves the heart, that makes your water softer, a lot better for your fixtures. I can testify to that because we have horribly hard water out in the Western lands. Improves the taste and the odor. Humidifiers and dehumidifiers, they have both, and that will reach a nice those systems working in tandem like we have at our home. It equalizes and it reaches equilibrium on the humidity levels. It makes everything so much better year-round. You can adjust them as you need. Swimming pools, finally. Who's thinking about swimming pools in December? Well, you people with swimming pools should be, because you know what? You're always thinking one season ahead, right? And guess what the next season is? The next season, after we get through winter, we're going to be in spring, and we're going to be thinking about opening up our swimming pools. The EcoSmart system is a great system that Everett Jones provides, where you can clean your pools without salt, without chlorine, and without acidity. Sound too good to be true? It's not. It's 2024, people. It's almost 2025. These products are available, and they're available through Jones Air and Water. Everett is a master water specialist. He's been in the business for nearly 30 years. He has a multitude of 5-star ratings on all the social media ratings platforms. Check him out today at joneswater.com, 636-899-1040. 636-899-1040. joneswater.com, joneswater.com.
Ready to soar beyond your limits? The U.S. Air Force and Space Force offer more than just a job. It's a launch pad for your future. With over 200 career paths, competitive pay, benefits, free education, 30 days paid vacation, and a chance to travel the globe, all while serving your country with pride. Your journey starts here. Call Jeremy Jefferson in St. Louis at 314-295-6834 or visit airforce.com and spaceforce.com today.
Are you tired of hard chlorinated water drying your skin out, tasting bad, and ruining your fixtures? Jones Air and Water Treatment has a solution to this pollution. Our Hydrotech HTO leaves you with great tasting, soft water at all fixtures in your home with one unit. Call Jones Air and Water at 636-899-1040 or visit us on the web at joneswater.com. You can be a filter or buy a filter. Jones Air and Water, 636-899-1040 or joneswater.com on the web. Call us now.
Hi, Kirk Hilsinger here, and I'm the new chairman of the St. Louis Republican Central Committee. I invite you to our meetings that take place the first Thursday of every month at 3710 Hampton Avenue. You can stay connected with us to learn more about how you can get involved, make your voice heard, and contribute to our shared goals. Together, we can make a difference in the city of St. Louis and the state of Missouri. For more info, visit our new website at stl-gop.com. That's stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Tony Colombo here for the cleaning pros at Zero Res, the team we trust with keeping our home clean and healthy. And the folks at Zero Res know how important it is to you to have a clean, healthy home this holiday season. And that's why they have this great offer for you right now. Book a cleaning with Zero Res and mention the Colombo special, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129. Plus, you can take $75 off an air duct cleaning. Again, just mention the Colombo special when you call 314-474-2020 or when you book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
The Allman Report.
Hey, Tuesday on the Allman Report, a crazy but probably true theory about those drones. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
Jamie Allman. Weeknights at 8 on News Talk STL. This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. You're listening to Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
We as a nation must renew our commitment to end the horror of gun violence, both mass shootings and everyday gun violence that touches so many communities in our nation. We must end it, and we must be committed to have the courage to know that solutions are in hand, but we need elected leaders to have the courage to step up and do the right thing.
4:52 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. And you know, Tim, the more I hear her talk or see her, the more I am so happy that the election turned out the way that it did. And she will not be the next president of the United States, but Donald Trump will be. Nothing about her is inspiring. The people that can't understand why people voted for Trump over her are blind and don't want to see the truth that this woman was in over her head and was not qualified to be president.
Cannot agree more.
The United States.
Can you imagine listening to that dull, sing-songy voice for 4 years?
Or that cackling. But anyway, Joy, let's get to Chris's Corner. We got a lot to get through in 4 minutes.
Chris's Corner is brought to you by Elite Comfort Experts. Call 636-887-0971 or EliteComfortExperts.com.
Chris.
And if you don't know, now you know.
And now, Chris's Corner.
You know, we always brag here on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show how we have two great military and foreign policy experts. Well, I wish we had one of them on today. Yesterday, Ukraine killed a top Russian general. This general was in charge of Russia's chemical weapons program. This person was killed apparently by a booby-trapped scooter. His aide was killed as well. Would love to talk to Steve Bucci on Thursday from the Heritage Foundation. How much will this escalate the war there in Ukraine, especially since we've been hearing reports that Russia is planning to use a mid-range ballistic missile for the first time into Ukraine. So war is heating up there. President Donald Trump can't January 20th can't come quick enough. Here's an interesting little thing. Unless you really thought about it and you kind of knew the inside of this, you think, oh, this is no big deal. This is just something that Joe Biden is just putting out there at the end of his presidency. So what? But President Joe Biden backs legislation that bars members of Congress from trading stocks. He told an interviewer about that lately. And that's common sense. Some would think, some would not. Okay. But if you look really deeper into this, Nancy Pelosi, the former speaker of the House, there was some allegations against her a few years ago and her husband, how they made a fabulous amount of money on their insider knowledge of some of the stocks. Of course, pliant Democratic press and everyone else turned a blind eye. But people made a big deal out of that and kind of let it go. We all know that Nancy Pelosi was one of the people that stabbed Joe Biden in the back and pushed him out the door. So is this kind of a little nudge at Nancy Pelosi a little bit, saying, hey, Nancy, you forced me out. I'm going to support something that could embarrass you, because we know that you and your husband enriched yourself on inside knowledge. Little intrigue there. Who knows? You know, we've been talking about foreign leaders possibly visiting Donald Trump on Inauguration Day and visiting the inauguration. He has sent an invitation to Xi Jinping, whatever his name is, their president of China, not knowing if he will come. But Argentine President Javier Milei, he said that he does plan to attend Donald Trump's inauguration. You know, there's only going to have the House is only going to have a 1-seat lead, Mike Johnson, coming up until they have these special elections in the fall. Republicans, Tim, may have figured out a way to temporarily grow their 1-seat majority to 2 seats majority. You remember I told you a couple of weeks ago about Jared Moskowitz, Democrat in Florida. He joined the Doge caucus there in the caucus. Well, he's being considered to lead the Federal Emergency Management Agency next year. So what's a good way to eliminate a Democrat and have him join the administration and add one more number to your ranks? You'll get a Democrat out of the House. It's actually kind of brilliant.
Clever.
It's very clever. And he may go ahead and grab that. And as we were saying, December 20th is the end of the fiscal year or the budget deal. And they struck a deal and they are not happy. Just to tell you a little bit, it adds $100 billion in emergency disaster relief, $10 billion in farm aid, included China investment restrictions. There's also a bill that's paving to bring the Washington Commanders back to D.C. That is part of this continuing resolution. It is a Christmas tree pork bill, and our members are not happy about it. But we'll talk more about that in the coming days. And that is Chris's Corner, Speaker's on Speech at 5:07.
Yes, the one line you need to know about all the government crises and conspiracy theories of the last 60 years.
All right, then at 5:24, we'll speak with Dr. Randy Tobler, host of the Randy Tobler Show, on a myriad of topics. You're listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Is your portfolio prepared for the biggest risks facing investors today? Hi, it's Tim Jones. High inflation and a rapidly changing economy may impact your investments. If you haven't made appropriate changes, your portfolio may not be positioned to address some of the biggest risks in today's economy. That means it's time to request your free portfolio review from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on News Talk STL 101.9. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create a portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free portfolio review, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas & Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Hey, how you doing? Santa Vic here.
And Santa's head, Vic head, here.
Right. And you can win some great prizes with News Talk STL's St. Louis Conservative Christmas.
You forgot the ho-ho-ho. You forgot the ho-ho-ho.
Oh!
No, ho-ho.
Oh!
A St. Louis Conservative Christmas. Log on to newstalkstl.com for your chance to win. Brought to you by Woodson Stonefire, Tropical World Pets, El Morelia Supermercado, and Metro Shooting Supplies.
Oh!
We aren't asking you to volunteer for CASA. We're asking you to advocate for
Alex,
Andre,
Ava,
Max,
Olivia,
Ciara. CASA volunteers make a lasting impact in a child's life in only a few volunteer hours a week. As a CASA volunteer, you support a child throughout their experience in foster care, advocating for their needs and ensuring their voice is heard.
Learn more at mocasa.org. Paid for by the Missouri CASA Association.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Jason Walker. Congressional leaders approving a deal that will keep the federal government funded through March 14th and provide more than $100 billion in emergency aid to help states recover from Hurricanes Helene and Milton, as well as other disasters. House Speaker Mike Johnson.
I wish it weren't necessary. I wish we hadn't had record hurricanes in the fall, and I wish our farmers were not in a bind so much that creditors are not able to lend to them anymore. We have to be able to help those who are in these dire straits, and that's what the volume of the pages to this.
The stopgap measure will prevent a partial government shutdown that was set to begin midnight Friday. Also at townhall.com, curfew has got into effect as Mayotte struggles to recover from Cyclone Shido.
Here's correspondent Charles De La Desma.
The curfew requires people to stay in their homes between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. as authorities try to prevent looting of damaged buildings. The official death toll now stands at just over 20, with over 1,500 injured. But authorities believe hundreds and maybe thousands of people died in Saturday's storms. Nearly 70% of the population has been affected, with widespread destruction and ongoing power and communication outages. The French military says it's sending up to 5 planes a day, each with 50 tons of assistance, including food, water and medicine. Hundreds of military personnel have arrived too since the weekend in Mayotte, an island group off Africa. I'm Charles de la Desma.
Large number of those mysterious drones flying over New Jersey and New York now. Some have been spotted over Ohio, Massachusetts, and parts of Virginia. That continues to spark speculation and concern. Federal authorities say an assessment of the sightings showed they have been a combination of legal, commercial, and hobbyist. More on these stories at townhall.com.
If you just grin and bear it or bite the bullet when it comes to everyday pain, don't. Try Relief Factor, a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. It's 100% drug-free. It's developed by doctors. In 3 weeks or less, you'll know whether it works for you like it works for me. Try Relief Factor for yourself. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
This Christmas, gather your loved ones as we at TBN celebrate the birth of Jesus. Enjoy powerful performances by For King and Country, Matthew West, Danny Goki, and Natalie Grant. To the world. Along with inspiring messages from Joel Osteen, Rick Warren, Max Lucado, and others. Merry Christmas to you guys. Tune in or stream meaningful programming anytime on the TBN Plus app. Visit tbn.org to learn more and make TBN part of your holiday tradition. 5.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. A few showers later on this evening and overnight, but out by daybreak, a low of 41 is actually pretty mild. The cloud cover helps keep the temperature from dropping too much. But as the cold front comes through in the morning, it doesn't allow the temperature to warm much either. 46 for the afternoon high, so a cooler day, very near normal, partly cloudy skies. Thursday, a chilly start at 28, but in the afternoon, a touch above normal with a high of 48 and partly to mostly sunny skies. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros, your all-in-one gutter service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. We discovered Gutter Pros a few years ago when we bought our home and inherited a gutter issue that was on the road to becoming a potentially big problem, but thanks to Gutter Pros was stopped before causing any major damage. They've also repaired the siding on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros are also the best for siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros can help your home at gutterpros.com.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. I keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
This hour of Jones and Arps brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
Lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here?
As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
Well, why don't you take a position on transgender biological males competing against females? You just told me it wasn't fair.
Federal standard on this is one that we would work with you on if you wish to work on it.
Why don't you do it on your own?
Because we're a national governing body and we follow federal law.
That's what you're there for. Why don't you stand up and say in front of God and country, federal law is wrong, and the NCAA believes in fair competition?
Welcome back to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. It's a Tuesday. It's December the 17th already. We're in the second half of December 2024, 5:06 in the PM Central Time. Thanks for listening to us, 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Senator Kennedy expressing right there the outrage that I think a strong majority of Americans, Chris, feel regarding this issue, that some on the left, they still didn't get the memo from the election a month and a half ago that a majority of Americans, Republicans, Democrats, and Independents, don't want dudes playing in women's and girls' sports.
Exit polling showed us that the transgender issue was a huge part of Donald Trump's election victory, besides the economy, besides the border. I was listening to a podcast driving back from Jefferson City. John Anzalone, who's a big Democratic pollster, admitted that the transgender issue and some of the other culture issues did not help them towards the election. And he said that Democrats have to find a better way of addressing those issues. So he admitted that it hurt them.
Yeah.
I don't know how you address and make it more palpable to mutilate children is okay, and forcing women to play against biological males in some sports where they could get hurt. I don't know how you make that more reasonable to the American people.
Several sane upper level congressmen and senators from the Democratic Party have been making the same point. John Fetterman has been making that point. Several congressmen have been making that point. And yet the lunatic left, which has completely taken the old Democratic Party hostage, just don't seem to get it. And Chris, this is the same party that stood for women's rights and the Equal Rights Amendment for women, biological women, that stood for feminism, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the feminist movement. They're now saying it's okay for males to destroy things that women have fought for generations.
Yeah, the Democratic Party is a party where the squeaky wheel gets the most grease. And what the Democratic establishment is afraid of is they do take a position that is common sense, that they're afraid that a very small minority within their party, within their caucus, within their base will have an absolute conniption fit. And so they have to take the untenable position of being for discrimination to fix discrimination. That's how stupid they sound, but they are afraid of that small vocal minority that runs their base. What are transgender people? 1% of the population,
less than that.
If that.
Yeah. And, why are we giving them advice? Let them keep engaging in this nihilistic activity and just keep wandering in the wilderness. We always wondered, look, the American electorate definitely has, and sometimes I think even unbeknownst to them, accepted this incremental shift to the left, because the left, the liberals, the old school liberals, the old Democrats, they were really good about not exactly saying what they were thinking, right? Hey, it's just another program. Oh, it's just a couple more million, billion, trillion dollars. It's just a little bit here and a little bit there. That's what they used to do. The new leftists who have taken over the Democratic Party, they ripped the Band-Aid off and were like, yeah, dudes in women's sports.
Yeah.
You're all racists, etc.
The new progressive movement, their idea of celebrating diversity is celebrating the most weirdest, outrageous thing that there is. They call that diversity. And then if you don't believe in that, or if you don't stand for it, then you're some type of bigot or homophobe or something. They have just bastardized diversity, what it actually means. And again, it's gotten to the point where you support discrimination to stop discrimination.
And we always wondered, was there a bridge too far the Democratic Party could cross? And this apparently was the Rubicon. And I'm very happy to learn that most of America thought that this was a bridge too far. They rebelled against it, not just in red states. We saw so many blue states become a little bit pinker over this election cycle as well. And the border, crime, and inflation were the issues that led people to make that choice.
Yeah, we have a sick society, but we're not that sick of a society where we think that minorities should be able to mutilate themselves and their parents don't have a say-so in that, even though, unfortunately, that's exactly what we've done here in Missouri.
A little bit of common sense left. Hopefully it continues. One thing that's continuing is our stocking stuffer giveaway. We've got the 12 days of Christmas all crammed into one day. That day will be, can you believe it? Next Monday. Next Monday is December the 23rd. We will draw the winners for this massive stocking stuffer giveaway, over $1,000 in prizes that you can get your hands on if you simply go to newstalkstl.com and register. A multitude of our very generous advertisers and supporters have donated a whole cornucopia of gifts, gift cards from Tropical World Pets and Woodson Stonefire Pizza, News Talk STL merch, a 1 year range membership for Metro Shooting Supplies, a gift basket from El Morelia Supermercado in Bridgeton, and so much more. Jump on newstalkstl.com, register. And Joey, are you picking these winners too, or is somebody else doing that next week?
I will pick them. I'm going to take Monday off just so I make sure it's a real thorough choosing. I'm not going to run Tim and Chris on the 23rd, but I will be doing the drawing.
All right. Excellent. We got producer Johnny back at the
Johnny's going to go hardcore on Monday. Everyone's taking off, and he's going to run Vic all the way through you. He may go out to Bongino. Where's he at? In Florida? I think he's going to drive there and then come back here in time for you guys.
That's a lot of radio.
Chris, Johnny, we celebrated Johnny's birthday yesterday, and some of the goods are still out there. Johnny,
I saw that.
Johnny ate 4 of those cupcakes yesterday.
Joy was like thinking I was going to eat 3 or 4 of them, and then they had so much icing and sugar on them that if I ate 4 of those, I'd be asleep by about 4:09, about 3 minutes into the show.
Johnny said the 4th one was the one that just about did him in.
Yeah, I scrape all that. I can't eat all that icing like that anymore as I've gotten older. I scrape most of it off.
Well, that's good for you.
I do.
To not eat the icing.
It's too much.
Yeah.
It's just too much. It's like a Krispy Kreme donut. Ugh.
Chris, we've got.
I hope we don't ever have them as advertisers. Sorry.
Yeah, maybe take that back. Yeah. Chris, we got drones still flying.
Drones
all over the East Coast, all over the West Coast. Isn't this the perfect capstone to the Biden administration? They came in destroying American energy. They leave not knowing what the hell is going on in the skies. As Donald Trump said yesterday, they probably know exactly what's going on, and they're either lying. They're either lying or they're incompetent. It's one or the other.
They need to tell the American people what's going on or give us a very believable story because, as you know, we all know that news abhors a vacuum. And once there is not any news, people will fill it. And the stories that we're hearing now from a guy whose business they make these type of drones is he's saying that these drones are looking for radioactive material on the East Coast.
Oh, really?
And that his drones are very similar to what they have been shown on television. And he says that was his speculation, that they are looking for some type of radioactive material or dirty bomb. And even when I was listening to Gabe was talking about the FAA and the flight plans and everything, how these drones they're high enough that they're in the flight paths. And if they were some type of danger, the government would shoot them down or tell them they can't be there. So the fact that they're in the flight zones, and the government is doing a hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil stance on this. I think what this guy's saying is plausible to me, Tim.
And by not defining the problem, they're causing people to come up with as many conspiracy theories as we want, and they're causing wider spread panic than if they would define where the problem is and what it's about.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, that sounds plausible to me. They're looking for a dirty bomb. They're looking for that type of material. And that's scary if it's true.
Chris, maybe from one of the couple 100,000 illegal aliens on the terror watch list that the Biden administration has let in,
Yeah, who knows? Who knows?
Could be any of that or more. Hey, I want to say hi to a ton of our fans this afternoon, Chris, on our live stream on Facebook. We're also streaming on Rumble, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. We've got Allison, Kathleen. We have
names sound new.
A couple new names here. Linda. Linda. Let's see. Allison again. Amy.
Hi, Amy.
Greg.
Amy didn't stop by the other day. She said she was going to stop by Save On.
Greg. I think that's a new one.
Hi, Greg.
Greg, how you doing,
Thank
Greg?
you for listening.
And our favorite Navy chief, Scotty. Oh, Scotty wants to razz you about the Army
I
Navy
know.
game.
Yeah, it was very painful. Hey, you folks that are watching on the stream that are new names to us, put in where you are watching us from. We're
Great
always
point.
curious to know if you are in the hinterlands, Eureka, or you're up in Northeast Missouri, you down in the hood. Who knows? Love the hood callers,
Yep.
hood listeners.
Absolutely. That 94.1 signal plus the 101.9 signal makes our listening audience vast. And if you're listening on the app, which is another great opportunity for you to do, download that app, share it with your friends and family around the Christmas holidays. The app is getting more and more usage every day. And with the app, you can listen to us anywhere on the planet where you can pick up a cellular or a Wi-Fi signal. Either one works. And thanks to everybody for listening to us this afternoon. All right, we've got the good doctor, Randy Tobler, coming up at 5:24. And Chris, speaking of conspiracy theories, Sean Davis, the editor-in-chief, I think he's maybe the founder, the owner of The Federalist. Yep, he's the CEO and co-founder of The Federalist, Sean Davis. He has a little food for thought about conspiracy theories and the one-sentence answer that answers all of them over the last 70 years. Let's get to that now and next in the Stump Speech.
Listen to me, listen to me.
I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius.
It's time for the Speaker's Stump Speech, sponsored by Hanson's Tree Service at hansonstree.com.
Sean Davis at Sean MDAV on Twitter X, SEAN, Sean MDAV. Look him up, follow him. He's a great guy. He's very funny. I actually got to meet him at the State Freedom Caucus Summit back this last summer. He's a really funny guy. He's also incredibly intelligent. And so he says, hey, ready to have your minds blown? I know what's going on with the drones, and I'll share it with you. I'm also going to give you the secret to seeing through all the nonsense we've been peddled for 60 plus years. Now, Sean's post here, it may be a little tongue-in-cheek. I think there's a little satire, but also to many of these questions he asks, I think that this one-line answer is a perfect answer indeed. What do you think about all this? He says, what I'm about to reveal to you is the Rosetta Stone for interpreting every major news event. I'll give you the secret to unlocking the mystery. One simple assumption will reveal everything. Are you ready? Quote, the U.S. government was behind it and is lying to you to cover it up. That's it. That's all you need to assume until you learn otherwise, and you'll be correct. Think I'm crazy? That it couldn't possibly be that simple? That it could never be this obvious? Let's try it out and see how it works. How did the cartels manage to get so many drugs into and so much cash out of the U.S.? Answer, the U.S. government was behind it and is lying to you to cover it up. Why were all those women and children at Waco burned to death? The U.S. government was behind it and is lying to you to cover it up. Who let the 9/11 hijackers into the U.S.? Why were they here for so long? Why did they get trained on aircraft? The U.S. government was behind it and is lying to cover it up. Why were there no WMDs in Iraq? The U.S. government behind it, lying to cover it up. What caused the housing market collapse and the massive devaluation of the U.S. dollar back in the mid-2000s? Same answer. What happened with all that Russian collusion stuff that Adam Schiff said he had incontrovertible proof of? Well, this is definitely the answer to that question. The U.S. government was behind it and is lying to you to cover it up. Where did COVID originate? Come on, folks. We're literally sending rockets to the far reaches of the universe. We're examining galaxies. We have supercomputers in our pockets. And 4 years later, we have no definitive report coming up saying what we already know. What Jon Stewart pointed out to us in March of 2021, that it came from the freaking lab in Wuhan. Jon Stewart, the liberal comedian, figured it out. Our government won't tell us. Why? Well, because they're probably behind part of it. Tony Fauci, and they're lying to cover it up. Why was discussion of Hunter Biden's laptop banned in 2020? Well, we know for a fact the U.S. government was behind that. They censored big tech and most of social media and most of you, and they lied to cover it up. Who blew up the Nord Stream pipeline? Same answer. Finally, to answer the question Chris and I were discussing at the top of the segment, what's going on with all those drones in the Northeast? Sean says, say it with me now. The U.S. government is behind it and is lying to you to cover it up. Every time there's some major news story that everyone's fixated on, assume that the story exists until proven otherwise, because your government is trying to manipulate you for its own purposes. I bet you'll be correct 9 out of 10 times, maybe 99 out of 100. Follow the simple rule. You'll know what it's actually happening for anyone else. You'll appear to be clairvoyant, and you will have a superpower that no one in the corporate media has or seems to want to learn, and that's the ability to see the truth. Use it wisely. Sean Davis, CEO, founder of The Federalist.
Good publication. I've had the honor of writing a couple articles for them. I think he hit it right on there.
And, Chris, we could argue about some of his propositions, but you know what? We don't have a definitive answer to anything. None of those things I mentioned. People may say, oh, it was this, that, the other thing. But it seems like for things that the government doesn't want us to learn about, they get buried, they get memory holed, and they never want us to know what really happened.
That is true. Remember, the JFK assassination papers were supposed to be released 50 plus years after the assassination. Some papers have been released over the last few years, but they have been extended, I think, another 20 years or something. So
I wonder
that's an example.
I wonder if RFK Jr., Kash Patel, and Elon Musk are going to get together and try and push those out. That'll be interesting.
Know, they should.
With Donald Trump's help. I guess he could declassify him if he wanted to.
That'll save our government billions.
Maybe we can stop publishing movies about it. We'll know the truth. You know what? As Mulder once famously said, the truth is out there.
It is. That was a sorry Twitter Twilight Zone, wasn't it? That was bad.
X-Files. Yeah. Hey, we got to get to a break because the good doctor, Randy Tobler, is coming in next. We're going to talk to him about all of this drone activity, about the reason for the season, and more when we return. We got lots to ask Dr. Randy Tobler. Stay right here. Don't miss it. It's next on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show, 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
She said I was the tiger she wanted to tame.
Dropping truth bombs and making you think. It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show.
The disease is the same name as the lab.
I lose my cool when she steps in the room.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. A few showers later on this evening and overnight, but out by daybreak, a low of 41 is actually pretty mild. The cloud cover helps keep the temperature from dropping too much. But as the cold front comes through in the morning, it doesn't allow the temperature to warm much either. 46 for the afternoon high, so a cooler day, very near normal, partly cloudy skies. Thursday, a chilly start at 28, but in the afternoon, a touch above normal with a high of 48 and partly to mostly sunny skies. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
The far left wants to destroy conservative values in America.
This is News Talk STL. Welcome home.
You know who can get your homestead or your business rocking and rolling and ready for wintertime before Old Man Winter completely blows in? Hanson's Tree Service. Hanson's St. Louis, found at hansonstree.com, provides expert, insured tree care. A variety of services, including green resource recycling, beautiful organic mulch, grinding and land clearing, and much more. Hanson's, like I said, found 24/7 at hansonstree.com. And when you go to hansonstree.com, you'll see their 24/7 emergency service number. A lot of people have kind of gotten away from that. Not Hanson's. They know that in their business, people need them often. On holidays, on weekends, because when that tree comes down on your backyard or on your gutters, you want it taken care of immediately before more damage is done. 636-379-1830. 636-379-1830. Can't remember that because you're driving around. Just remember hansonstree.com. Chad Hanson and the gang, they've got everything that you might need to clean up your backyard before the winter winds come a-blowing. If you got trees that are looking dangerous, need to be pruned, you got shrubs that need updating, you've got some strange things that happened to some of your most important vital assets, your living assets outside, get Hanson's Tree Service involved. I would take advantage of these warm-ish days because, man, we're going to get a reminder that this weekend, the winter's coming back. So you got a few weeks left, I think, before everything comes crashing down. I think we're going to have a real winter this year. Get Hanson's Tree out to your business or your home so you can take care of all that lickety-split. 24/7 at hansonstree.com. That's hansonstree.com.
Sometimes it's hard to tell what is a good time to sell my home or buy another one. You need expert help? I've got them for you. Jen and Rodney Warner a wife and husband team, the Walner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. They have so many approved home buyers, they can guarantee you an offer on your home. In fact, they sell 15 times more homes per year than the typical realtor, licensed in Missouri and Illinois. And here's a phone number for you. Call them, discuss it with them. 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD. Those last 4 letters, sold, that's what will be in front of your home if you're looking to sell it. Jen and Rodney Walner, the Walner Home Selling Team, Berkshire Hathaway. 314-810-SOLD. Jen and Rodney Walner.
This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
I come from the water. I crawled up on the shore. I left my brothers there. I got what I came for. I struck out.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, driving the leftist crazy all afternoon.
I come from the water. I come from the water. I come from the water. I come from the water, yeah. I come from the water. That weren't no easy thing. It's more than nature. It's like my destiny.
At his first news conference since winning the election, President-elect Trump yesterday called on the Biden administration to stop selling unused border wall material.
We spent a tremendous amount of money on building the wall. The administration is trying to sell it for 5 cents on the dollar, knowing that we're getting ready to put it up. And what they're doing is really an act. It's almost a criminal act. They know we're going to use it, and if we don't have it, we're going to have to rebuild it.
Welcome back to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. Yeah, Donald Trump delivering a humdinger of a press conference yesterday. How about that, Chris? A presidential person giving a press conference. Haven't seen that often too much in the last few months.
Haven't seen that in the last few months at all, from presidential candidates to presidents themselves. And as we said, these two are phoning it in.
They really are. And they're doing disastrous things with the executive orders and pardons and clemency along the way. Let's see if our next guest is as aggravated as we might be.
Gentlemen, we're about to enter the fascinating sphere of police work, the world of forensic medicine. Truly, you have a dizzying intellect.
Randy Tobler, truth warrior, woke destroyer.
As he does every Tuesday afternoon, the good doctor, Randy Tobler, joining us once again at Randy Tobler MD on Twitter and here on News Talk STL, 6 to 9 a.m. every Saturday. Randy, before we get into some of the specifics of all this, how about the fact that a presidential person who's been president, going to be president again, President-elect Donald Trump, he gave a press conference. How refreshing. I don't think we'd ever describe Donald Trump as giving us a return to normalcy, but he seemed to do that yesterday, didn't he?
I tell you, that is the most refreshing thing, isn't it, to get back to those golden days of Donald Trump's first administration where he would hold forth with anyone at any time and just be open about what he felt was going on. Sometimes even in matters of international diplomacy. Even I remember, think about all those times getting off the copter. He's on his way into the White House. I think I'll talk with the gaggle of reporters, and it turns into a 20-minute conversation. And here he has this extended, no holds barred. Hey, here's what I think. Here's what's going on. Here's what I hope to happen. It's just so refreshing, and I think it's that style that was so appealing to Americans this election.
Dr. Tobler, I want to get your thoughts on this New York Times article or headline today. It said, quote, giant companies took secret payments to allow free flow of opiates. Drug makers, including Purdue Pharma, paid pharmacy benefit managers, or PBMs, not to restrict painkiller prescriptions. It sounds unethical, but is it illegal?
Yeah, it's probably not illegal. I mean, it's funny that they used to do quotas for the for certain types of IV and hospital medicines. I wasn't aware that they had any sort of quotas based on usual usage. That usually only comes in when there were restrictions in utilization, either by regulation or law, or by increased demand. Sort of a nationwide demand increase. But that usually applies to things like vaccines or infectious disease items and antibiotics and things like that. So I'm not sure exactly what was going on. I haven't seen the article, but suffice it to say that wherever the PBMs are involved, they're not always looking out for the customer's best interests, and the customer being the patient at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dr. Tobler, do we have a bunch of people that just need to do better? It seems like the PBMs blame Big Pharma blames the PBMs. I guess they both blame insurance companies, maybe the medical profession. Sounds like the whole kit and caboodle could use some reform. But what say you?
I think we should include the American public, the patient, the consumer in this. And I don't want to be gaslighting people that are listening, but the time has come for Americans to take back our own health and therefore take back the need for medical care. We talk about health care. It's not health care when you're having a heart attack or you're having if you're having an infection that maybe didn't have to do the ravages of devastation on you than it would have if you didn't have diabetes and if you're eating poorly and weren't treating your body a little better.
Mm-hmm.
So the demand for these things that look, I'm on the receiving end of demands an awful lot, right? Give me a pill. I want something to make me better. I want to get my cholesterol down because I really, really, really love my cheeseburgers and fries. I really do. And I'm like, but I really would really love if you wouldn't have a heart attack when you're 55, And so can we talk about broccoli? Broccoli. Oh my God, broccoli. So, there's a demand for these things and the demand is insatiable. And these things do cost money to research and develop and distribute. Not to mention the fact that then often they have side effects that then need to be dealt with guess what? More medicines. So Americans need to think that at some point they have a little bit of culpability. Certainly the insurance companies, medical professionals who aren't taking enough time because they've sold their soul to the devil by becoming employed doctors and PAs and nurse practitioners. But why did they sell their souls to the devil? Because the government imposed so many regulations that a private practitioner couldn't afford to do it. So now we got the government to blame too. And then there's the PBMs. Look, it is just a colossal mess. And I guess when the United Health Group CEO, so the guy that's the umbrella chairman over Scott Thompson, who was in the health insurance business of United Healthcare, when he writes an op-ed piece in the New York Times saying, you know what, healthcare is a mess. We need to really look. That tells you something. I don't think that was just sort of a pandering. I think that tells you that, look, we've all got to look at this and reassess where is our own responsibility in this. I don't think the government should have any role in enabling or forcing or mandating employers to provide insurance. If that went away, if we had association health plans, Tim and Chris, you guys know about that. That's been a long-term hope for the GOP. They've never been able to get that across the line. There's so many creative, innovative, and in all the right ways, disruptive ways to reform this system. And it always comes down to that big M word called the market. Let the market and the consumer and the provider of the good, the service of the pharmaceutical, let the market determine the right price level. And I guarantee you this would all work itself out.
And I can say associated health plans were a big part of Jim Talent's agenda when he was in the Senate. He co-sponsored that bill with Ron Wyden of Oregon there, but never did get any real traction. But the idea is, Dr. Tobler, is people that are in similar industries that may not be huge industries, but they could bring themselves together as a group and could buy affordable health insurance for their employees. And I thought it was a great idea, and hopefully its time has come here in the future. Dr. Toller, I want to ask you about this new poll out from Gallup. It shows that Americans' view of healthcare quality sank to a 24-year low in November. 44% of U.S. adults rate the quality of healthcare in the U.S. as excellent or good, while 54% say it is fair or poor. High healthcare coverage polls even worse. Only 28% rated it positive. Sounds pretty bad, but if you look within the numbers, 71% of Americans say their care is either good or excellent. Explain the disparity there.
Yeah, those are probably healthy Americans, right? I think that the healthcare providers of this nation have done a great job of insulating all of us from all of the non-healthcare noise that's in the healthcare system, whether it's financial noise, whether it's workflow and access noise. And I think that you're seeing, this is what's being reflected in the polls, right? One way or another, people are generally not happy with the access or the time with the doctor, or, you know, the affordability or the surprise bill or the multiple bills, right? I think that's because the system is so fragmented, right? Whenever you get care, it's so fragmented. And at the end of the day, we have to figure out how to re-engineer this system. I fear that this dissatisfaction, maybe not this cycle, maybe not these midterms coming up, but would it be, you know, the next general election, the one after that? I think this healthcare issue is going to rise to the top, well, near the top of issues if the economy gets back on track, if the borders get tight, if we return to some international security sanity. Then I think that'll clear the way for a healthier discussion about that. Here's the problem. Will people want single payer healthcare? Will they finally say, look, I know what you Republicans and you conservatives say about the market. Well, you know, if we had a real market, patients would know what that feels like, and it'd be awesome. But we have a manipulated, contrived, corrupt, regulated market. So it's not really a free market. So will people finally just throw up their hands? Will doctors, will those trying to do, innovative, market-driven healthcare options, will they finally say, I'm crying uncle, I'm out of here. I'll work for the government. I'm only going to work my 8-hour shift. I'll give you all I got then, but don't call me. Take 2 aspirin and call the guy on the next shift. You know what I mean? I think that's what you're looking at with one-payer healthcare. But I hope and pray that that's not where we go with this growing dissatisfaction.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Dr. Randy Tobler, at Randy Tobler MD, he's on News Talk STL every Saturday morning, 6 to 9 a.m. He also runs the morning show out in mid-Missouri land, coming out of 93.9 The Eagle in Columbia. If you're heading through there or to there over the holiday season, tune him in. Doc, what does it say? Broadening the discussion out to a global view here. You know, we here in America, I don't think we understand how good we have it. Yes, the left lit their hair on fire and continues to light their hair on fire about January 6th. We on the right have concerns about some of the Antifa and leftist riots we've seen that have raged in our urban areas. But, our government has continued to roll on. Doc, what does it say that all these democracies around the world are collapsing before our very eyes? The French government, the German government, the Canadian government is teetering on the edge. Earlier this year, the Scottish government and the UK has had a ton of turmoil where their governments literally dissolve and nobody really knows what's going to happen next.
Yeah, look, it's a combination of, I think, worldwide populism and dissatisfaction with central control at one level or the other. And I think when it comes to Europe, look, how much unfettered immigration can any one country's population take? I mean, they really have been ahead of us for what, a decade with just, open borders. I mean, they've got it within the European Union. So once they get into any one of the border countries, it's like Katie bar the door. And if you're any member of Europe, essentially, it's like, what's coming up from, Morocco to hurt me? What's coming up from Tunisia? What's coming up from name the country? What's coming up from, one of the Eastern Bloc countries? And so at the end of the day, people have said, I don't know what we're going to get next, but I'm not happy with what we're doing now. That's called insanity to think we're going to get anything different. So you're going to see a lot of tumult. But you look at what's happened down in Argentina. You look at what Javier Milei is doing. Even though there's been a lot of pain, the people are sticking with him. And I saw an article recently that they're actually bringing down their debt, and things are beginning to turn around financially down there because he's just said enough to government corruption and just unbridled socialism. I think people are realizing that it only works out for certain groups for a certain time until it all collapses.
Dr. Tobler, our own Senator Josh Hawley has been one of the leaders, along with Donald Trump, into transitioning the Republican Party into a populist party. Senator Hawley is pushing for a major increase in the child tax credit from a maximum of $2,000 to $5,000 per child. And here's the caveat here. He is also wants parents to be able to claim the credit as soon as there's a pregnancy. Your thoughts on that? And I was not expecting a laugh.
I don't know. I don't know what to say. I mean, I haven't seen the specifics of the bill. First of all, I'm generally against anything that increases taxpayer subsidy and transfer payments. I think in general, that's just not a good policy. At a minimum, it pits one group of people, in this case, those who either have had their children or aren't having children, against those who are. It's like, what the heck's going on here? And you could say, well, that's, we're supporting families and reproduction of our population so that we don't have to have immigration, blah, blah, blah. Well, the best way to support families is to have a healthy economy and law and order and a secure and safe environment in which to raise a family, and don't demonize, healthy religious institutions which tend to create healthy families and support them. But where are you going to call them? I mean, so like almost 20% of recognized pregnancies miscarry. What are we going to do? Give someone a tax credit if they are pregnant, the stick turns blue on Christmas Eve, and then you claim the tax credit, but then a miscarriage happens, on Super Bowl Sunday. And what do you do then? I mean, do you refund that? It's a mess. I just think this is a hazardous proposal. And as far as Josh Hawley's populism, I love you, Josh, but don't get in bed too much with the unions. Exhibit A is, the longshoremen. They are holding American hostage for outrageous, unbelievable sums. And oh, by the way, we're going to stop the march of technology and progress. Sorry, it's going on in my business. It went on in the horse and buggy business back in the turn of the century, and suddenly we had the combustible engines, and things change. And I think we got to be careful about getting in bed too much with the unions, especially when it comes to government protection against unions.
A 62% raise the longshoremen got in their temporary deal.
And again, God love them if they can do that on their own. That's fine. But the whole notion of collective bargaining sponsored by the government, and I don't know why the government has any role in relationships between someone writing the check, someone doing the job and receiving the check. Never made any sense to me. Does the government have a role in ensuring a safe workplace? To some degree, yes, but that's where it ends.
Yeah, 99% of union donations go to Democrats. So cater to the working men and women, not to the union bosses. That's for sure.
Yep.
Dr. Randy Tobler. Doc, we are not going to be here next Tuesday because it's Christmas Eve, and we'll be running all sorts of wonderful special programming, probably featuring you as well as the rest of us, with our own celebration of Christmas into Christmas Day. So Chris and I and Joey want to wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas, and we'll hopefully talk to you again on the backside.
Well, I thought Joey and I had a discussion. I thought you were going to break from that program, and I was going to do a 10-minute monologue. But that's okay. If I get a pass, we're cool.
You can do that if you want. We just won't be here.
No, I'm going to enjoy it, and you enjoy it with you and yours. Thanks so much for everything.
Doc.
Thank you, Randy. Thanks for everything. Merry Christmas to you and yours. All right, that is Dr. Randy Tobler. Wow, it's 5:45 in the PM.
Show.
We're going to take a final break. Go nowhere, though, because we got a full segment when we come back. You don't want to miss it. Everything you need to know we may have missed. Larry Connors USA preview. Larry Connors coming to you live at 6 o'clock, followed by Jamie Ullman and the Ullman Report. All of that is ahead on News Talk STL. This is the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show, 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
You're listening to Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
I come from the water. I come from the water. I come from the water, yeah.
Is that a serious question? How could I answer a question like that?
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. A few showers later on this evening and overnight, but out by daybreak, a low of 41 is actually pretty mild. The cloud cover helps keep the temperature from dropping too much. But as the cold front comes through in the morning, it doesn't allow the temperature to warm much either. 46 for the afternoon high, so a cooler day, very near normal, partly cloudy skies. Thursday, a chilly start at 28, but in the afternoon, a touch above normal with a high of 48 and partly to mostly sunny skies. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL. Enable our Alexa skill.
Hello.
Hey, Alexa,
Yes, I'm listening.
play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Myella Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmostscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmostscholars.org. That's herzogmostscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
With the average funeral bill over $9,000, are your loved ones prepared? Speak with Benjamin Schaefer at Senior Memorial. Contact Benjamin at memorialplans.com. Memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial, everlasting protection.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Paid for by Estella's Pharma.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Thank you for the opportunity to let me vent here.
Live and local.
Way to be, guys. 1019 all the way.
This is News Talk STL.
I am home.
In a very special season right now, and if you're thinking, man, what am I gonna where am I gonna go over the next 7 days to get something special for the special people in my life? I've got the one-stop shop for you. Newsteaders Fine Jewelers. Newsteaders Fine Jewelers. They're located 24/7 at wowdiamonds.com, and they're physically located right in the middle of the county of St. Louis. If you live anywhere in our listening region, they're 30 minutes or less, more likely than not, from wherever you might be. They're worth the trip because they've been our neighborhood jewelry store for everybody here in St. Louis and beyond since 1961. How in the world do they have that much staying power in the land of the big boxes, a very tough competitive industry? By providing excellent products with fantastic service, right? Simple, hard to do, hard to pull off, but it's a simple recipe if you can do it. And Richard and his team take great pride in being local and family owned. What do they have at Newsteaders? You can look it up at wowdiamonds.com. They've got everything. Diamonds, beautiful wedding and engagement rings, hand-engraved items by Richard Newsteader himself. He's one of the last master engravers. It's a dying art, not at Newsteaders. It's alive and well. I've seen many of these things that Richard has created for people and for their families. They're absolutely spectacular. They're legacy items, and they're not that expensive. You give them your budget, and Newsteaders will work with you. They also do repairs. You're like, I got this broken watch, or I got this other thing. Take it to Newsteaders. Don't put it in the back of your drawer and then you never see it ever again. This is expensive stuff. You've invested a lot in it. You should be wearing it, right? You should be handing it down to your children and grandchildren. They do jewelry appraisals, fine watch sales and repairs, and so much more. It's your one-stop shop for all the special stuff, for all the special people in your life. I urge you to go to them today. They're open every day, daily, Monday through Friday, from 10 a.m. to 5:30, Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 3. Head to Newsteaders. We sure do. Newsteaders Fine Jewelers, wowdiamonds.com. That's wowdiamonds.com.
This hour of Jones and Arps brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. You're listening to Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in, then I'll watch them roll away again.
President-elect Trump has sued the Des Moines Register and its retiring star pollster Ann Seltzer over a poll that had Vice President Harris ahead of him in Iowa. Trump ultimately did win Iowa. The suit argues the poll constituted election interference. At his news conference, Trump telegraphed this was coming.
I'm going to be bringing one against the people in Iowa, their newspaper, which had a very, very good pollster who got me right all the time. And then just before the election, she said I was going to lose by 3 or 4 points.
5:52 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. And, after Donald Trump's winning streak there of getting that money from ABC, I don't blame him for suing this Des Moines Register poll. When you look at it on the surface, Tim, you're almost like, well, come on, Donald, even though it may have been an election interference in a sense, you can't sue anybody because they oversampled Democrats or it was just a bad poll. That's just something they can do. But I see the reverse lawfare aspect of this, Tim. This woman, she's made a lot of money in her polling business and all that, but she's not a probably fabulously wealthy woman. What's a better way to get back at her if you're Donald Trump and you're a billionaire? Is you have her tied up in court, spending all kinds of money on lawyers. Donald Trump doesn't care if he win or lose. He'd like to have that suit won. But this is a situation where he's trying to bleed her of a whole bunch of money. And if he wins, it's a cherry on top. And what do you think?
Well, the beautimous thing about this is, Chris, they also can't accuse him of weaponizing the federal government against this lady or anybody else, because he's doing this in his individual capacity as an American, and it's a civil lawsuit. He just has the ability to do what a lot of us don't, and I think a lot of people are cheering him on.
Exactly, and who knows, the Des Moines Register, if they are parties to the suit along with her, maybe they'll just throw their hands up in an air and, a lot of these companies. And a lot of the companies have insurance to pay off suits like this, so maybe they've got a insurance policy where maybe Donald Trump could earn another cool $15 million for his upcoming presidential library, this time from this poster and from the Des Moines Register. Who knows?
Yeah, three reasons to file a civil lawsuit, generally. It's to correct wrongs that have been committed. It's to allow people for a proper airing of their grievances and to make them whole if they have been wrong. And, Chris, it's to discourage bad behavior.
Exactly.
And so it doesn't happen again.
Exactly. Because, like I said, Donald Trump could keep this in the courts for years. This woman probably doesn't have the resources to be able to do that. So someone may settle and Donald Trump wins once again. You're going to get so tired of winning. It's too much. I'm tired of it. All right. We always talk about the environmental movement, how they're a bunch of crackpots and how they're wasting our time. They're wasting our resources. I've got a story about that, Tim. A Fiat dealership. I hope our state rep friend is listening to this, Democrat. A Fiat dealership in Colorado is turning heads by offering a 27-month lease on a 2024 Fiat 500e for $0 per month and no down payment.
What?
Stellantis, Fiat's corporate parent, doesn't have many electric vehicles and likely needs to sell the vehicles to accumulate zero-emission vehicle credits. This is from an analyst, Carl Bauer, with IC Cars. Once the cars are available for sale at dealerships, they're in depreciating assets, and dealers have every incentive to sell them quickly. So they're basically no money down, no interest rates. Please just take the thing off our hands. We need some tax credits from the government. Here it is. What does that say about the EV market?
That nobody wants them. However, Chris, for that deal, I would take one.
You would?
You know what? I would check it out because
Yeah.
I want to check it out. I want to see if they're worth actually purchasing or if we have a couple more years of development.
And it's
to
worth
go.
that for a 2.5-year lease.
I'd
No
do
money
it.
down, 0 payments. So perfect. Did you guys know that the grandmother of United Healthcare CEO murder suspect Luigi Mangione, and we've heard about their very wealthy family, but she left the family at least $30 million in her will, Tim.
Woo!
She died back in 2021, but she specified that anyone, quote, charged, indicted, convicted of, or pleads guilty of a felony would be cut out. Actually, she passed in 2023. So Luigi may have been cut out of the will with this shoot someone in the back murder. Who knows? Joel, you sound like you have a comment about it. You have a comment on that?
I haven't kept up to date, but I know there was a legal fund started for Luigi that was up to $100,000, a GoFundMe type of situation.
Oh my God,
So
you're reading my mind.
money's coming in for him somewhere.
You're reading my mind. Actually, that is the Give, Send, Go Defense Fund for Mangione, established by an anonymous group calling itself the December 4th Legal Committee. That's the day that he shot this man. At the time, 1,500 donors across the country, many of them leaving messages of support for Mangione, including one person who called themselves a frustrated citizen and thanked Mangione for sparking the awareness thought across the sleeping nation. So if you need further proof that there are some true sickos in society, there you go.
Yes, there is.
Right there. Larry Connors, USA, is up next. Larry's going to talk about our U.S. drones sniffing for missing radioactive waste. We talked about that a little bit on the show. Brandon Weichert, senior editor at 1945, and what the government is not telling us. And Texas Senator Cruz destroys the transgender boys and women's sports issue with one question. That's Larry Connors, USA, 6 to 8. Jamie Allman report from 8 to 10. You've been listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Drive safe and have a great evening.
The Napoli heritage of fine dining continues with Napoli Kirkwood. Napoli Kirkwood, now open. So add that to Cafe Napoli in Clayton, Napoli 2